Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. What if everything you thought about Shanks was a lie? What if his legendary sacrifice was actually a calculated move for a secret purpose? And what if the Gamu Gamu no Mai, the one Luffy accidentally ate, was always destined for him, orchestrated by Shanks himself? Today, we're unraveling the shocking truth behind Shanks' hidden agenda, the Nika Fruit, and a destiny that's been in motion for centuries. Stay tuned, because this changes everything. Among the hundreds of pivotal events that define One Piece, perhaps no moment was as groundbreaking as when young Luffy accidentally ate the Gamu Gamu no Mai, an event that transformed an ordinary child into a symbol of unyielding freedom and the heir to a mission to liberate the entire world. But how many have truly asked why Shanks, a notorious Yonko and former apprentice of the pirate King Roger, brought such a precious devil fruit all the way to the distant East Blue, only to let it fall into the hands of an unknown kid like Luffy? Was it mere coincidence or a calculated plan? Was it the compassion of a stubborn child, or a belief that entrusted the world's future to a fragile glimmer of hope? Looking back at the entire story, from the moment Shanks arrived in Fuchsia Village to the day he lost his arm saving Luffy from the Sea King, every milestone suggests that Shanks is not simply a symbolic supporting character. Instead, he resembles someone who ignites a revolutionary symphony, and the first note was the beating heart of Luffy after he consumed the Gamu Gamu no Mai. This devil fruit is far from ordinary. The world government once guarded it strictly, the former warlords hunted it frantically, and even the Gorosei and Im-sama fear its true name, Hito Hito no Mai model, Nika, the embodiment of the warrior of liberation god. So, did Shanks know this? This question has long fueled many theories within the fan community. Is it possible that Shanks is not merely a pirate captain, but a guardian of the old world's secrets? Was his accidental delivery of the devil fruit to Luffy part of a larger plan that we will only fully understand at the very end once the truth is revealed? Because if it was a setup, Shanks wasn't just the one who inspired Luffy to become a pirate. He was the one who handed him the key to unlock a new era. An era where light extinguishes darkness, where freedom triumphs over oppression. The Hito Hito no Mai model, Nika, belongs to Elbaph. Over 13 years ago, red-haired Shanks unexpectedly visited Fuchsia Village in the East Blue, a sea considered the weakest in the world. He and his crew stayed there for a long time. Notably, Shanks carried a treasure chest containing a legendary devil fruit stolen from an enemy ship. As we now know, that devil fruit was the Gamu Gamu no Mai, or more accurately, the Hito Hito no Mai model, Nika. The red-haired pirates stole it from a Cypher Paul K ship under the command of Who's Who was transporting this devil fruit to Mary Geoise. After Chapter 1152 was released, we can now piece together all these events. Before that, let's add some new information. Shanks once met King Harrow in Mary Geoise. They spoke quite amicably, but there was one topic they couldn't discuss there, so Shanks arranged to speak with him privately later. The time frame mentioned is 14 years ago. This means the person who met the Gorosei in Chapter 907 was definitely not Shanks, but Figarland Garling. Garling himself admitted they are twin brothers. Shanks only returned to Mary Geoise once, but after that, he decided to completely abandon his celestial dragon identity. He met King Harrow in the Holy Land during that sole return, but Harrow died 14 years ago, while the context of Chapter 907 takes place during the Reverie. This confirms Shanks was completely unaware. He also wanted to warn King Harrow about something, so immediately after the Reverie, Shanks left Elbaph to meet him. Unfortunately, before they could talk, King Harrow was assassinated. While Shanks was with Gabin, King Harrow was suddenly attacked by his guard soldiers at Oris Castle. Loki rushed to question him about joining the alliance with the world government. Perhaps everything stemmed from his trip to Mary Geoise, which could be called Harrow's mistake. If he had established schools and libraries and wanted to reform Elbaph, going against Im-sama's wishes, why would Harrow ask to join the government? And there must have been conditions attached. Let's momentarily set aside Harrow's death, as it involves many other characters. Now, let's focus on Elbaph's treasure, which the world government coveted. In my opinion, this was the main reason the Gorosei agreed to admit Elbaph into the world government. In Saul's flashback, we see Joe-Boy sitting in a place very similar to Elbaph, and the legend of the sun god Nika also seems to originate from the ancient Holly books of the Elbaph giants. Therefore, it's not surprising that the Hito Hito no Mai model, Nika, was located in Elbaph. This was also the issue Shanks and Harrow could not discuss when they were in Mary Geoise. Unfortunately, the world government also got wind of the Nika Fruit's whereabouts. The Gorosei once said it has been escaping the government's grasp for centuries, and clearly, Elbaph was the most perfect hiding place. The Warrior Kingdom is an island completely separate from the world, not part of the world government, and has a history connected to 2 previous wars. Furthermore, the giants all believe in Nika, even wishing to become the sun god. So, Nika chose this place to hide from the world government's hunt and await that day. No wonder Roxy Zebek came to Elbaph in the past. He also wanted to find this devil fruit but failed. Nika remained safe in Elbaph, but the appearance of Mother Caramel led Cypher Paul 0 agents to Sheep's house. The orphanage was built right in the West Village until Big Mom's hunger pangs burned the village and killed Jorol. In my opinion, the Gorosei offered a very tempting condition to trick Harrow into joining the world government. This meant Cypher Paul agents could freely enter and exit Elbaph, and if I'm not mistaken, the God's Knights used some strange devil fruit ability to make the soldiers attack Harrow, or perhaps Imsama himself acted by turning 100 castle guards into demons. But when King Harrow was in distress, who secretly stole Elbaph's legendary devil fruit and fled Oris Castle. He was the shadowy figure who appeared in the latest chapter 1152. As soon as he stole the Nika Fruit, who hastily used Moonwalk to retreat to the warship waiting offshore. Unfortunately, luck was not on his side that terrible day. There were 2 characters with super haki of observation in Elbaph, Dabin and Shanks. They quickly sensed that something was amiss. Together, they discovered who's who escaping, so Gabin ran to the castle, while Shanks pursued who's who. The Red Force caught up with the Cypher Paul K crew before they entered government-controlled waters or naval protection. Shanks didn't destroy them, but simply demanded they hand over the chest containing the devil fruit. Of course, who's who wasn't foolish enough to resist. As a result, he lost everything, and Shanks took the devil fruit back to Elbaph. There, he learned the truth about it. That this was the Hito no Mai model, Nika, the mythical devil fruit that the government greatly feared. At the same time, he also understood his own mission, to bring this devil fruit to the East Blue. This is why Shanks could not fulfill his promise to Buggy. We all know they had a beautiful friendship from childhood, as close as brothers. Buggy not only wasn't jealous, but even acknowledged that Shanks had what it took to follow in Pirate King Gold D. Rogers' footsteps. The clown wholeheartedly supported Shanks, ready to make him captain of a new crew, even though Shanks had made him lose the treasure map and turned him into a hammer. However, Shanks refused, causing a conflict between the two. Buddy felt his trust was betrayed and decided to sever ties with Shanks. But few have asked why Shanks refused Boogie. It wasn't that he wasn't ready to walk his own path, nor that Shanks didn't want what Goldie Roger had achieved. Every pirate wants that. However, Shanks carried a different mission, a mission that only he could fulfill. As Scopper Gabin said 14 years ago, because you are the destined child. So what was that destiny? Please see the next part. How did Shanks, the destined child, escape the shackles of Imsama? We know that red-haired Shanks was found by the Roger pirates after the God Valley incident. This might be true, but it's fundamentally incomplete. Bull D. Roger knew everything about the world, and he knew that Shanks was chosen by fate to bring the Hito no Mai model, Nika, to the East Blue. The Book of Revelation states, the sun will rise again from the east, but only Shanks could escort the sun god, because he was a celestial dragon left behind at God Valley. There has always been such a person helping Joe Boy. In the past, it was Queen Nefertari Lily, and later, Figarland Shanks. But before Rishing Laugh Tale, Roger didn't know that yet. Going back to chapter 968, this is a very confusing scene. Roger enters the meeting room, preparing to find the location of the final island on the map. From this panel, it's clear that Shanks is following Roger, but he suddenly locks the door from the inside, leaving Shanks outside. Shanks, being insightful, showed his extraordinary talent from a young age, even learning divine departure just by observing Roger. Of course, Shanks understood what the captain meant, so he asked to stay and look after the sick Bodhi. So what reason did Roger have to lock the door and not directly pass on his ultimate techniques to Shanks? Everyone on the Oro Jackson loved and acknowledged Shanks as a genius. The reason lies in the star-shaped tattoo on his left arm, a symbol related to the world government, similar to Saint Figarland Garling in the God's Knights. Shanks was lost as a child. At that time, he had not yet returned to Mary Geoise. Why did he have that tattoo on his arm? This is my speculation. All descendants of the leading members of each family must have that symbol tattoo on them at birth. This is how Im-sama controls the celestial dragons with extraordinary talents for all these years without worrying about them rebelling. The consequence for disobedient individuals, you can probably guess St. Charlos is a typical example. Wherever they are, Im-sama can kill them through the tattoo. It's like a curse or magic called the abyssal mark. The Gorosei once said that only those who are marked can pass through the abyss. The tattoo on Shanks' arm, like Garling's, is the abyssal mark. Thanks to it, Im-sama can know exactly where his subordinates are, what they are doing, communicate with them via telepathy, and of course, eliminate them when necessary. In return, the marked person receives immortality and the ability to quickly move to any designated location through summoning. Additionally, there is no way to remove this mark. The person carrying the tattoo cannot erase it themselves. That's why Roger had to be so cautious with Shanks. It wasn't that he disliked him, but he didn't want to risk bringing him to Laugh Tale. Because if Im-sama discovered the location of the One Piece treasure, everything would be over. Humanity would completely lose hope. In chapter 969, Oden continued in his logbook that when Roger returned from Laugh Tale, red-haired Shanks asked him something, and then he started crying like rain. Perhaps Shanks couldn't hold it in anymore, so he asked Roger why he wanted to exclude him from the final journey. The answer he received completely shocked Shanks. He had always been monitored. He was an immortal, just like the gods' knights they had encountered at God Valley. Moreover, if Shanks went along, the whole world would be in danger. All efforts would be in vain. Shanks never expected that he was Im-sama's puppet. But he also learned one more thing. Shanks is the child of destiny. His mission is to lead the new era. "I'm betting it all on the new era," Shanks once said with a laugh to Whitebeard when asked about his left arm. That's how he freed himself from Im-sama, completely severing his connection with Mary Geoise. 14 years ago, Shanks returned to the Holy Land to find out something, and he decided to continue being a pirate. Perhaps King Harrow taught him how to remove the abyssal mark, which is why Shanks owed him a favor. You probably haven't forgotten that King Harrow once broke his own horn to show his determination for reform, right? The horns are a symbol of war and destruction for the ancient giant tribe, so he broke them. Shanks wanted to remove the tattoo, and he also needed to sacrifice that arm. And of course, doing it himself would be difficult, because the person carrying the mark cannot do it. So, over 13 years ago, a few months after King Harrow's death, Shanks allowed the Sea King to bite off his left arm when saving Luffy. Looking back at that scene, it's clear that Shanks could have used Conqueror's Haki early on to scare off the Sea King instead of losing his arm in such a wasteful way. Even more notably, after being bitten, he laughed. Yes, he laughed. One part was because he saved Luffy, and 9 parts were because he finally realized that King Harrow was completely right. It really were. Shanks no longer felt the mark. His body had returned to normal. Shanks was officially a free man, free from Im-sama's control. The two children of destiny met this way. And Shanks also fulfilled his mission. He brought the Hito Hito no Mai model, Nika, to the East Blue to let it find its true owner. Shanks guided Luffy to become a pirate, appeared at Marineford when Luffy was in his greatest crisis, and now there's only one final step. Shanks will tell Luffy everything himself when the two of them meet again. And that's my entire theory. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden lore of One Piece and Shanks' true role, make sure to smash that like button. It really helps the channel reach more incredible nakama like you. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next mind-blowing theory video. YouTube's algorithm loves it when you interact, so let's show them the power of this community. Until next time, stay free, Otaku Wave Hub Crew.